Right, saw strip down. 261, I think the end of the crank of this is knackered, so that's why it's in here. Real basic stuff, I'm sure you all know how to take side covers and stuff off. So we'll start with that. That's easy, we know that, happy days. Off. Easily done. I have seemingly robbed parts off this before anyway, so it's going to be a partially incomplete. But click, click, click. Off that comes. Easy. Recoil cover. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yeah. Off it comes. Easy. Exhaust next. Sometimes these have a little star-shaped thing you just need to wiggle out with a screwdriver. All you need to take this saw down pretty effectively is a T27, a narrow-walled 8mm socket, a pick to scrape the ends of the T27 screws and bolts out with because they get gummed up with crap, small flathead screwdriver, maybe a set of flathead pliers. General tools, nothing major. You get the T27 with saws anyway sometimes, so on a 261, nice and easy. The two main ones are in here. This is also if you're buying a saw or you need to check the piston and cylinder. This is where you start. Sometimes, because these are around heat, they are mega hot. Excuse my cold. They get mega hot and they sort of seize in slightly, so T-handles are best for that. You can use small impact driver or an electric screwdriver. That's what I normally strip saws down with. But it doesn't take that long to get to this point. There's two underneath. And then this is a one-piece exhaust. So it's in one piece, some are in two. That gives you access to the exhaust port, which, now well you can see, looks like that. And we look into the side here and we turn it over. So we can actually see that the top end on this saw is actually intact, both sides. I don't know how well you can see in there. Let me do that. Quite difficult. You see there's no horrible scratching on there. So that is good. This bit slips a lot of people up. E-clip, ping fuck it, whatever you want to call it, big flat washer, sprocket, clutch drum. Get your levering tool in there. Off it comes. 2, 3. Sometimes you need a pair of grips on there to get it off. What happens to these, well, you want to replace these every now and then. I do them once a year, is because this surface on the inside here changes shape or wears a little bit. Also changes sprockets and change your bearings. Old steels like these are great. Look how thick and beefy that is. You take one off a 261, it's tiny and thin and pathetic and feeble, which is one of the reasons why they fucking go bang. So this is probably the hardest bit for most people, to be honest. I've always said if you can take a clutch off a saw, you can do anything else on a saw, because nothing is that much harder in reality. These steels have a shallow 19mm that fits on there, right? The best thing you can do is use an impact. So I've just got a 1/2 inch impact here, a little stubby one. Milwaukee, if anybody cares, 12 volt. So it's left hand thread, right? So it's not lefty loosey, it's lefty tighty. So we want to righty undo it, yeah? That's really tight, you know. Is it on? He's on. There we go. That'll fucking do him in, won't it? So that was really tight. I suspect that was so tight because of the fucking heat that's boiled it alive. Then you have a flat washer underneath there. These always go back with top facing up. You can also tell because they normally stain and put the back of the spider on the back. So these are spider or carrier. Then you've got the clutch shoes. Then you've got the bushings or whatever they call them. They've got a name. And then you've got the 3 clutch springs. Whilst we're here, for simpleness, let's take the flywheel off. Impacts here are your friend, but they can also be your enemy. Reason being, you can damage the ends of the threads. So what I like to do, this is lefty loosey, it's not like the clutch side. Buzz the nut off. Sometimes you can put the nut back on. Sometimes you don't want to do that. Depends how tough you think it's going to be. And this is the pain, this is the harder part. You can buy pullers, so they're still pretty good. They will have 2 threaded holes in there and then a bolt you wind down and that will pull it off the taper. If you haven't got that, you will probably want to do it this cheap and easy way. There's that. So let's put this nut on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the nut back on. I'm basically going to put it all the way on, back it off slightly. So it's touching the flywheel, less than 8 for the turn, now it's not. Now I'm going to grab a hammer, just a ball peen here, a little bit hard because it's going to slide around. So I'm putting a bit of twist on this screwdriver against the cylinder. So I want to lift this taper off. What you want to do is you don't want to be hitting this like a madman. You want to try and do it in as few hits as possible. So sort of swing harder rather than more. You can try it that way. And you will feel it when it pops free. There you go. The reason we thread the nut all the way on is to protect the end of the crankshaft, which is obviously more valuable than the nut. And you will keep, if it's threaded all the way on and you've got a level flat surface to be hitting against, you're in the money. So that is how you take a flywheel off. There's a, let me see, it's quite hard to see, but there is a formed aluminium keyway in there. Okay, some saws have them on here separately, which you then just lever out with a small screwdriver. If you want to do a timing advance, when these are on, you file one side of the key off depending on which way you want to turn it. Or you take it out and just clock it manually, because the flywheel doesn't need the keyway to do any of that, to turn it. It's all done off this taper. The taper's important, so when you put it back together, clean it really well. That's the key there. Let's do your ignition module. When they get this dirty, you have to scrape the grime and crap out of the lobes of the Torx screws. Get them out. So that's that. Now we'll do carb end now. Air filter comes off, easy peasy. Now, some of these modern saws are quite difficult because a normal, let me find one for you. What size is that? Not what I need. So let me just go to another socket set here. This is a normal 8mm socket and it doesn't fit in these 2 holes. That's why you need the narrow-walled steel one. Worth having. So that fits in there lovely. Takes these 2 out. You could just stick a sacrificial socket on a drill and just go at it with a grinder whilst you're spinning it. You know, like a poor man's lathe, so to speak. That would do the job. No problems with that at all. That would work. I have done it. I've made people tools. So now we're in here, we're in a bit of the belly of the beast. This is the carb, the bit people are scared of. Taking a plug out. I'm sure most of you have done this. Pretty sure you have to do some of this stuff in your CS30. So I'm sure all of it's, not all of it is alien, but the bin's fucked. So we're inside the carb now. What I do is take the linkages off. I've taken more of these saws apart than I care to mention on camera, so I know where they all go. But some of them will fit in multiple places, and the wrong way round and such like, they can be a real arsehole. So take pictures, little videos, whatever you need to do to remember, and then pop the 2 rubber ears off either side. This is part of your AV system, so it keeps everything from going through to your hands and stuff. Be careful, use a little screwdriver or something. Shoe off. Take the electrical connector out. Take it right off. Stopping that, is it? Fucking. There you go. And then because you've got your control assembly underneath on the wires, sort of stops that a bit. So you can just take the crimps off. Not the crimps, what am I talking about? The little terminals. Spade connectors is what I was looking for. Them things. It's a black one. Some are easy to come off than others, as it seems. So what I will do is, I'm just going to leave that, to be honest. There's hole. Oh, might be on our winner here. If you could see. There we go. Oh, Christ alive. Oh, I'll just leave that because that's not coming off. Get that out. Now we're on the carb. Obviously some of them are electrics, you need to disconnect that first once you're here. Usually they're held really well in place by the fuel lines into the back of them, so you need to just get a screwdriver or something into the fuel line that goes into the brass plugs at the back, because they, especially if they've been left a while, they really do stick. Fucking arsehole. There we go, move. And away she comes. That's your carb. I'll do another video at some point stripping one of them down. Now they're here. I already spotted something that's missing already. Oh no, there you go. Quite common when you buy new carbs. This isn't in the back of the carb. It will come with the carb separately and you have to put it in there, which keeps the intake manifold open. I'm going to take that off. Come on. Cool. Sometimes they are labelled as top, but normally if you can see the steel part numbers and writing on them, they're what you should be looking at when you put it back to disassembly. Throttle rod on these is weird. It's just part of the handle and you pull it and it just twists it up, so you don't have to connect that. Take the handle off next. These are easy. He says. Okay, do that manually. That's why. Yeah. Take this off. Bada bing. There's your quite a common thing on these to bust these springs up. So these are just simple to do. Just take them off like so. One bolt, and then when you come to do them, I think you can leave them on here. You just need a good gripping tool to get on there, and then they just screw off on like a really coarse thread, like that. So you can do them when the thing's on, you don't have to. Let's do the handle now. So there'll be 2 different lengths of screws on these, which is a pain. They come in at an angle at the front here. That's what your pick's for. Can't get near with a little screwdriver. There you go. So, oh, these ones are the same length. That's fine. Some saws are different lengths. You don't want to put the short ones where the long ones go, and vice versa, because you'll have problems. Oil tanks getting punctured and silly wear marks and stuff. Oh, you fucker! I forgot about that. On the side here, you need to take one of the screws out, which is the chain catcher one, I believe, which is also part of the AV system. So once that's the chain catcher screws out, you can take your normal plug spanner or a flathead, just leave the white plastic bit out of the way, and then a little bit of finagling and swearing will get you your handle off. And there you have it. Easily done. So now we're on to this part, the cylinder. Nice and easy, it's not that complex. The key thing here really probably would be to keep it clean rather than anything else. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws in there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Some of them are captive, meaning they won't come out when you loosen them off. Some of them are a real arsehole to get in because they don't come out very well, as in they don't come out, they'll either only come out the tunnel that they've gone in on, or you have to slide them in through a bolt length size gap. Huskies are bad for that. Of course they are. Fucking Swedes. Right, so now we'll lift him up. I'm just going to pop that fuel line off. Fuel liner's just in my way here. It just gets levered out from its place. There we go. Take him off, and then how she comes out is like so. Now we have the cylinder in hand. To make sure you reuse these bolts when it goes back in. Don't put different bolts in there. That will cause you problems. If you're that worried and you come to replace anything, put new screws in. These have a size, so it'll be a 1 or a 0.5 or a 1 millimeter metal gasket. They only fit one way. Yeah. So you'll see when you put it on. Well, this one does fit both ways, that's fine. You'll see when it goes on. Tab, just make sure the tab's in the right spot when you take it off, put it back on. And then you have your piston. Let me find my super cool steel homemade tool to get a bit further into this now. Here it is. Block of wood with a slot in it. Goes underneath. work platform. Fantastic. So on the side here, to take a piston off, you have circlips or gudgeon pin clips or piston pin circlips. Bit of a mouthful. They're single-use items. They are a pain in the arse. They'll fucking ruin your day, right? It's very easy to get them out. It's a pain in the fucking arse to get them back in. So, like so. Then the piston, because this has not had any problems. Hopefully it should slide out nicely. So, what we want to do here is keep pressure downwards on the piston. Then you take a punch or something tapered or something that you can just manoeuvre the pin out of there. The pin doesn't have to come out all the way. Obviously you can see there's a gap in there, so all you need it is just off that gap, which reveals this. Yeah, if you're putting a new top end on and you're taking this off, buy a new bearing. They're cheap. They're dirt cheap. So that is as far as I'm going to go disassembling this saw. The next step to this would be to take the fuel tank off, which you could have done this before, to be honest. Which I think it actually only is actually ready to come off, so I'll probably just do it now. Always throws me for a loop. Over here, normally a flathead screw, T20 flathead with a flathead through the middle of it, or it is like a push clip, which this one is a push clip. There's no screw in this one. There's your handle coming out. Keep an eye on the order of the springs in here. Operator presence lever. And then, let me take this off from me. Throttle lever. Now lettuce. There we go. One more bolt for this. One. This is a classic example, we would be careful of. Bottom one's a self-tapper, top one's a machine screw. Machine screws are threaded, these are coarse, they make their own threads. When you buy a new tank, the threads won't be in it, so you have to rethread these in as you screw that in. So, another thing to be mindful of, gents. Let's crack him off. Just come out that way. Should be a start to get this out. Arsehole. Don't think you need to take this out. These are just rubber bushes. No, this one's a foamy one. These go quite a lot because they obviously get contaminated by the oil and stuff in your chain oil, and they just fall to bits like this. It's like a styrene foam, heavy density foam stuff. When they're new, you can get them out. We're destroying everything. Oh, that's gone to the moon. That's just great. There you go. Tank's off. Disconnect your fuel line from the. Ah, fuck! That really hurt. Fuel tank, easily removed. And there we are. That is all of it. That is probably the most maintenance you're going to want to do to a saw. And it is reversal of fitting, really.